Yes, the door. Yes, thank you. If you would, Ms. Harden, would you call roll, please, ma'am?
Here. Alderman Little.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Davies.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Here.
Alderman Barnes.
Here.
All right, thank you, everyone. We will call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting Tuesday, October the 6th. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation which Alderman Sistrunk will give us, and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alderman Sistrunk.
Let us pray. Holy Spirit, be present within and among us as we tackle the task of this time of pandemic. Grace us with your wisdom. Bring forth our own skills and insights. Strengthen our ability and willingness to listen to each other and to you. Inspire us to reach agreements about how we best proceed in this journey to build your kingdom here on earth. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, everyone. AC, would we get that door open, please, sir? Thank you. All right. All right, our first order of business, and just for everyone's information, this will be a roll call because we have people who are on telephonically or via the video. We will be calling roll for every vote. So just to let everyone know, and we will start first with the official agenda, including consented items. Alderman Vaughn, I'm going to start down at your end just for fun. Do you have any changes to the consented items or to the agenda?
No, ma'am, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor Perkins, do you have any changes to the agenda or the consented items?
No, ma'am, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Walker?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to add under department business, item D, engineering, item number 2 to consent.
Under department business engineering, add the low quote to the consent agenda? Is that correct?
Item number 2.
All right, do I have any objections? Any objections? It's consideration acceptance of a low quote. Any objections?
Is that already on there?
No, I had it on there too, but mine is not showing it, so we have one. Let's make sure. So yes. All right, no objection to that one. Anything else, Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, any changes to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Alderman Sistrunk?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Alderman Carr?
When I had to go in the work session telephonically, when the fire department was the reason that item number 3 was not placed on consent.
The fire department.
Item 3 in the fire department.
Is that the new item? I've got an old agenda. I've got to pull up the new agenda. My bad. The reason is because it's brand new. I sent out an email. That's the one, right?
That one.
Pardon? Yeah, we just received that grant today, and it has to be approved, and it's 100%, and it has to be approved before we meet again on the 20th, and so that's the reason it's on there.
Well, I don't have any objection, any consent for us.
Okay. All right. Do you want to place that item on consent?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Then we'll place that item. Well, is there any objection to placing that item on consent? Okay. Hearing none, then that item will also go to consent. Anything further?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay. I have a motion from Alderman Sistrunk for approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Carr. Look. Thank you. All right. If you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Barnes.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Davies.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Sistrunk.
Yay.
Alderman Carr.
Yay.
All right. That is unanimous, and I will now read the consented items. I've got two I'm working from. Make sure I don't skip one, please. Mr. Latimer?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. First item is consideration of the minutes of the September 1, 2020 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Consideration of the minutes of the September 10, 2020 special call meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Consideration of the minutes of the September 11, 2020 work session of the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Under Mayor's Business, consideration of the contract extension with Cornerstone Government Affairs, Inc. for assisting with state and national legislation requests. Consideration of extending the proclamation of a local emergency due to the COVID-19 virus for an additional 30 days. On board business, we have B, consideration of appointing Jessica Hill as an election commission official. C, consideration to reappoint Mr. Willie Gillespie and Mr. Lauren Bo Bell to fill 2 vacancies from the Starkville Housing Authority Board of Trustees. Term appointments for both vacancies will be for a 5-year period, October the 7th, 2020, till October the 6th, October the 7th, 2025. These consideration of implementation of salary adjustments to include longevity raises suspended in fiscal year 20. Under Community Development Department, we have Code Enforcement, which is consideration of calling for a public hearing under Mississippi Code annotated 21-1911 to determine whether the property is located at 99 Walden Way, 108 Tanglewood Drive, and 203 McKinley Street are menaces to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. Under Planning, we have consideration of Final Plat 20-05, request for Final Plat approval for aggregating 2 lots with a total acreage of 0.38 acres into 1 lot located at 105 West Gillespie Street in a TNE zoning district with the parcel numbers 102A-00-196.00 and 102A-00-197.00. Under Engineering, we have consideration of acceptance of the low quote for the Louisville Street Sidewalk Project from H&H Construction and Excavating LLC in the amount of $11,924 and authorizing the mayor to execute the construction contract. Number 2 is consideration of acceptance of the low quote in the amount of $9,660 to be 100% paid from the FEMA grant 105-70240-00 for the Briarwick Concrete Roadway Project from Brownstone Construction and authorizing the mayor to execute a construction contract. Number 2, under City Clerk Finance, is consideration of the lowest and best bid for financing from Trustmark National Bank in the amount of $197,600 over 3 years to be made quarterly beginning January of 2021 at 1.61% interest for the lease purchase of 1 asphalt truck to be used by the Starkville Street Department. 3 is request approval of 2020 Municipal Compliance Questionnaire. 4, consideration of budget amendments for fiscal year 2020. Under Fire Department, we have request permission to allow the Starkville Fire Department Truck Committee, Chief Charles Yarborough, Battalion Chief Andy Sharp, Captain Jerome Clark, Lieutenant Dwayne Davis, Lieutenant Jonathan Wade, Lieutenant Chance Cummings, Lieutenant Brian Clark, to travel to the Rosenbauer Company located in Wyoming, Minnesota, to perform final inspections on the 2 incoming fire trucks the 3rd week in October and at no cost to the city. Number 2 is request authorization to accept the sole source quote from MagnaGrip to purchase diesel exhaust venting system for the Starkville Fire Department in the amount of $183,864 to be reimbursed 90% by grant. Number 3 is request authorization to accept the Firehouse Sub Public Safety Foundation grant in the amount of $21,309.65. Under Human Resources, request approval of the promotions of Jason Williams to the rank of Captain, Brian Clark and Matthew Doss to the rank of Lieutenant, Joseph Diaz, Michael Edwards, Nicholas Pearson, and Patrick Warner to the rank of Sergeant, and retain candidates from the promotion process held on September 14, 2020, for consideration to fill any additional vacant positions due to retirements, terminations, or approved additions to the Fire Department for a period of 6 months in the Starkville Fire Department. 2 is request authorization to hire Jonathan Wade as a fire inspector in the Starkville Fire Department. 3 is request approval of promotions of Michael Edwards and Tom Robertson to the rank of Captain, Stephen Kelly to the rank of Lieutenant, Tyler Davis, Jonathan Headley, and Bobby Thomas, all to the rank of Sergeant, and retain candidates from the promotion process held on September 22, 2020, for consideration to fill any additional vacant positions due to retirements, terminations, or approved additions to the Police Department within a period of 6 months. 4 is request authorization to hire Carl Griffin as a certified firefighter and authorization to hire Jalen Combs and Eric Rogers as entry-level firefighters in the Starkville Fire Department. And 5, request authorization to advertise for a marketing and sponsorship manager in the Parks and Recreation Department. Under Parks, we have request approval of Cornerstone Park SB Construction LLC change order number 2 with $0 change to reduce the 10% retainage to $109,557.79 to a 5% retainage of $104,778.90. Number 2 is request authorization to accept the lowest and best quote from Security Solutions in the amount of $15,211.90 to replace the fire alarm system at the Travis Outlaw Sportsplex. Under the Police Department, request approval to allow Corporal Stratton Woods to attend the Mississippi Tactical Officers Association Marksmanship Training October the 19th to the 23rd, 2020, located in South Haven, Mississippi, at a cost of $400. Under Utilities Department, we have request authorization to accept the lowest and best bid from STX Transformer Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $792,211 for one 456075 MVA auto transformer for the Starkville primary 16169 kV substation. Number 2, request authorization for the City of Starkville to participate in a Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, green switch program that allows Starkville Utilities to provide customers an opportunity to purchase low-cost, full renewable energy certificates. And number 3, request authorization for the City of Starkville to adopt the amendment to the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, Green Power Providers Agreement. And that concludes, I got them all, right?
You did.
And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thanks.
My pleasure. All right. Next up is on our agenda are announcements and comments. And while last time I thought I was making my last plea for folks to fill out the census, lo and behold, they have extended it yet to the end of October. So if you have not yet done the census, please add that to your to-do item. Go online, census.gov, and it is very, very easy to do and very quick, and benefits our housing authority. It benefits our transportation. It benefits our school system. It has great benefit all the way around. So the more people that are counted, the better off we are. So I have no other comments. Board of Aldermen comments. Alderman Walker, do you have any comments? Alderman Sistrunk.
I'd just like to reinforce the idea of completing the census. Mississippi is lagging about 5 to 7% behind the rest of the nation in doing the online response or the response to the census, which means we stand in good position to be undercounted compared to the rest of the country. Not just undercounted, but undercounted in regards to the rest of the country. And these numbers matter, and it's important that people do it. I'm sure all of y'all have done yours, but if you know somebody who has not done theirs, please encourage them to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
No, ma'am, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have citizens' comments, and this is the opportunity for anyone to come forward. You have 3 minutes, which is timed by Ms. Harden over here, and it is your opportunity. It is usually a one-way conversation for those of you who wish to come up and give us your thoughts and comments about any particular item. So now would be the time, anyone wishing to come forward. Good evening, Mr. Turner.
To all, to the mayor, to police chief, to fire chief, and to the second vice president of the NACP myself. We really were still that our light bill came out for October last month. My bill was 6636. But for October it's 17645. I'm on a fixed income, and that kind of bill, it throws a lot of stress on people that having fixed income. We would like if could the carrier right there for Smith County, if you could put a sign, we have people that once they jump that hill, with the blind side, and you can put a sign that says danger curve or curve, because we have people from other places coming. And that's just some concerns upstairs.
Mr. Turner, I missed where you're saying that blind spot is. Where is that?
All right, you know, Jackson Street, almost what community company is.
Yes, sir.
You know, when they jump at, here, as a blind, you know.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. I know what you're talking about. Sir,
On the electric,
Mr. Turner?
there's a lot of people in the car, and they've got the same problem with the glitch in the system. So I met with them Friday, so they supposed to be trying to fix it them, and then they don't have to pay all the payment at one time. They can, a similar payment and pay it else they need to pay the longer they get paid.
Yes, sir. And I just texted Mr. Kemp and asked him if he would speak with Mr. Turner because he's outside there. So before he leaves, catch Mr. Turner. So, thank you. And yes, we'll get that taken care of. Next, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the Board of Aldermen. I'm Ann Birchfield, and I'm from Moore City. I just wanted to know, I wish you all was here, I want to get a carport built that's coming off from my house. It's not a big one, it's not a big construction either. And I want to just bring it approval to the board. Then also it's $150 to get the number for that. And I want to know, can you raise $150 and can you give me approval to get that done? And I also have pictures if you would like to see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Ms. Birchfield, I'm aware of that, and we need to go through the process. I believe you and I have had that conversation. So if you would, we just need to go through that process. And Ms. Corbin right back there, Ms. Camp, excuse me, can help you go through that process. No, ma'am. That lady right back there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. If you would, and I forgot to say, if you would say your name, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cindy Walker, and I'm here representing the seniors in our community, especially those residing in long-term care. I'm a retired RN, and I work extensively with our senior community. I've been a caregiver for both my mother-in-law and my mother, both as they suffer through Alzheimer's disease. I have been a facilitator of the Starkville Alzheimer's Caregiver Support Group for 10 years. I'm the chair of the Community Advisory Board at a state hospital, and I recently reactivated my nursing license to help at Montgomery Gardens from my mother thrive through these difficult times of COVID. Residents in our long-term care facilities have not been able to be with their families since March. I've seen physical, mental, emotional decline, and even death caused by social isolation. I've seen residents whom I believe have just simply given up and do not wish to live under these circumstances and have basically died of broken hearts. In addition, during active COVID outbreaks, residents are not only unable to see their families, but they must quarantine in their rooms until the outbreak is over. Until the outbreak is over, and this just further exacerbates the social isolation. The caregivers in these facilities must go out in the community. They have to grocery shop, they send their children to school, they go home to working spouses. And so protecting those caregivers also prevents those vulnerable in the assistance and nursing homes. What you may not know is that the state guidelines here in Mississippi require 2 conditions before long-term care facilities can reopen for visitation. The first is that the facility must be COVID-free for 28 days. But the second is that the weekly COVID numbers for the county where the facility is located must be in decline for 2 consecutive weeks. And let me be clear, this has nothing to do with the infection rate in the facility. This is strictly the weekly infection rate in the county. Science has proven that masks worn properly, covering both nose and mouth, along with social distancing and good hygiene, are effective in controlling the spread of COVID-19. I implore you to continue the mandatory mask mandate for the sake of our senior citizens. It seems to me a small inconvenience, which means literally the difference between life and death for these seniors and those that have cared for us. This is our chance to care for them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Walter, please. And, would like to commend the board for passing the successive wearing of mask mandates in the city of Starkville. And I would like to point out that we've made great progress since July. And I would like from the mask mandates indefinitely. It's the least that we can do for ourselves. And in addition, I have some data to show that we're doing pretty good, considering. Joel, bring that data on the screen.
Matt, have you got that? And Harden is keeping the 3 minutes, but we will list what we can while you got it up there, so.
This is the graph that shows the state of Mississippi in black, the daily new cases. It also shows in yellow the Fayette County, which is Ole Miss, and it shows in blue Hall County, and in the last portion there in red, Mississippi State University. And as you can see, Mississippi State has brought a lot of additional cases to our community, not equal to what we have. Next slide. This is a slide that shows pretty much the same thing, except in blue. There's the raw data in circles, and the red is Tuscaloosa County in Alabama, where the University of Alabama is. So you can see the impact of the students coming back to a university campus, and you can see the same trend at Ole Miss, and to a lesser degree, the effect on our community. Third slide. That shows data in Lowndes County, and if you'll notice that they have experienced a spike about a week and a half ago, and from reading the comments quoted in the newspaper, the state assistant epidemiologist, Dr. Byrne, I believe that's his name, he claims it's an anomaly, but I would like to point out that this could also be a cluster. Super spreader.
All right, thank you, Mr. O'Cleason, I appreciate that. All righty, anyone else?
No, I got a question. To the young lady, what is she asking the board to do? Because I can feel your sympathy, because I lost my auntie about a month ago, and I couldn't go visit her when I went to see her for 3 or 4 years. She was an Alzheimer's patient too. But what are you asking the board to do?
Just continue the mask mandate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, thank you for allowing me to come. My name is William Bell, and I fully understand that there's opinions on both sides of the aisle on this issue, and there's pros and cons for each issue. I think my main problem is the fact that we don't have an end in sight. You know, what is our goal that we're trying to get to? Is it new cases? Is it death? Is it hospital, people in the hospital? Is it on the respirator? You know, because we know that opening things back up is going to cause a spike. That's inevitable. It's not going to go away. You know, so do we, open now and not wear a mask, and in 2 weeks wear a mask? I mean, what is our long-term goal? You know, because, I feel that just being told, hey, wear a mask, I mean, what is that for, a year? You know, we don't know. And to just go in blindly as a citizen, I'm not saying I don't trust the numbers, but I'm just saying, and I'm a sole caretaker for my 74-year-old mother on with COPD on full-time oxygen. So I'm very concerned about the issue, but I also want to know, what is our end goal? What are we looking for? Is it, if you have a week's worth of decline. Well, what if the next week is an incline? I mean, this could just continue on forever. You know, so I would just like to have some, you know, some kind of basis of where the numbers that you guys are looking at to make a determination in order to say this is good or this is bad. You know, because if we're just basing off somebody's opinion, hey, I think it'll be good, you know, according to this science data, well, you know, which scientists? There's, you know, everybody's saying different things at different times right now. And I just think that if you guys have an opinion based on the facts that you guys see, it would be very helpful for us to see that exact same information. So to go in blindly and just say, hey, trust me, wear a mask a couple more weeks, it should be okay. You know, I don't know. That's just really hard. You know, I just feel like we should know as citizens, should know that, hey, this is what we're trying to get to. You know, if everybody does really good for 3 weeks and then, you know, we have, you know, this much low tide, then we can, you know, so, but just to say, hey, let's just keep it going. I mean, that's a never ending situation. And I feel that we have to have a goal that we're working towards.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I will close it for citizen comments. And we have one public appearance, which is Mr. Bateman. I believe I see him in the room. Mr. Bateman?
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board of Aldermen. John Bateman, Executive Director of the Starkville Area Arts Council, and I'm here to just provide an announcement of a report on what we've done this past year, what we're doing this year. We want to thank the city for the funding that you've given us, and I want to make sure as good stewards of charitable donations that we're reporting back to the public on this. I'm just going to take a couple of highlights to keep this brief. This is not everything we've done. We will be finishing our annual report soon that will provide a lot more detail. This last year we ended with 1,800 net revenue. We're probably one of the few arts organizations that ended in the black on June 30th. That required a lot of work on our part, but we do maintain a very streamlined budget. This year, one of our efforts is Art Partners. That's our after-school initiative where we partner with 4 locations around the city. 2 of them, one's at Pine Acres, one is at Joplin Park. We've expanded this into the literary arts. We provide a teacher and supplies to these locations, and so this year we've included books, and we're hoping to continue and have that grow. When coronavirus hit and the economy started to tank, we reopened our grants pool. We had some funds that had not been used. We have a small discretionary pool of funds that we give away. We opened that up to give micro grants to artists as part of a statewide effort across several arts organizations. And so we gave away more than $4,000 to artists who had lost income and jobs to about, it was more than 40 artists, mostly musicians, for live performances that were then live streamed for free to the public on various Facebook pages. This year, we've also participated in a collaboration with several other arts organizations to try to share resources and networks, because most of us are staffed by 2 or fewer people, and we can't really do this alone. This year, some of the changes that we've incorporated for Art in the Park, instead of a big outdoor event where we all meet and kids are sharing art supplies and running around, we repeated what we did last summer for our after-school program by creating art boxes. And we distributed more than 250 art boxes at the Joplin Park, and then we took another 100 boxes out to the park in Maven. The county is one of our funders, and this allowed us to reach kids in the school district who live in the county who can't come into Starkville on the weekend. But we've collaborated with several other organizations that are not art organizations as a way to share the date so that they could also reach and do their outreach. So this included County Hospital, Reading to Succeed, NAACP did a voter outreach effort, and an Ushers Ministry. And then in Maven, that also included a 4-H group from both Maven and Starkville. Due to the popularity of the Stay at Home Fest, we've taken part of our grant proceeds and turned it into a micro grant process. Basically, it's a WTA program for artists. And we're continuing the same thing, just under a new name. We're allocating funds to help artists with whether it's live performances on the street, or attending conferences and workshops, something to help them accomplish some of the purposes that they need in order to become productive citizens. This year we hired a fundraising coach. In addition to that, we invited the other 501c3 arts organizations to sit in on those sessions. We view this as an investment in the community as a whole, because if we all do well together, then we sink or swim together. So the philosophy is that this will help all of us, not just our organization as well. One of the things that we're looking at this year is perhaps to do an awareness campaign with other organizations. If you look at the population of the county that lives above poverty, it's roughly 35,000 people. The median income is roughly $37,000. And if the average person gives 3%, if you multiply that out, if that was all given locally, that would be almost $39 million a year locally, just from our own people. And so we're looking at working with other nonprofits to build this advocacy campaign. One last point I'd like to leave the Board of Aldermen with is that even though we are a local arts agency, we can have an impact across the state. South Arts is a regional arts organization that covers 9 states. They recently announced a program that was called the Emerging Leaders of Color Program. This was something for emerging leaders of color, as it sounds, to attend a professional development workshop for free. Mississippi was excluded. We did not learn about this until 2 days before the deadline. So 3 of us, Starkville Arts Council, Yakima Arts Council in Oxford, and the Delta Arts Alliance in Cleveland, advocated fiercely that Mississippi be included. Mississippi was given 6 days to apply. We spread that word quite rapidly and widely as we could. Mississippi did get 3 applications in, and we do have an application from a young woman who lives in the county. We don't know if she's been selected yet or not, but this is an example of how a local arts agency can have a bigger impact on just in Starkville. So we're hopeful that our candidate gets selected and not the other 2, but you know, I'm a little biased. So thank you so much. I'm always available, and I do plan to follow up with each of you. So thank you so much, and if you have questions, I'm here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bateman. Anyone, Ms. Carter, Alderman Sistrunk, Mr. Little?
Thanks for the update.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Any
Thank
questions,
you.
Mr. Bateman? All right, thank you, Alderman Beatty.
Appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Perkins
No, ma'am, Mayor, thank you.
and Alderman Vaughn.
Amen,
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bateman. We appreciate it. All right, moving to the next item on the agenda, it's a public hearing in consideration under Mississippi Code annotated 21-1911 to determine whether the building and property located at 124, Yellow Jacket Drive with parcel number 102H 00-038 are menaces to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. Anyone making a camp? Is anybody doing anything? Okay, we don't have pictures or anything that goes with this. Okay.
Yeah, I got a presentation, if you like.
Oh, Dr. Kim. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. If you would, please.
Yes, this is the picture of the house, and it does not fit complete with the house. There are some furnitures and the bathtubs outside of the yard, so we need to clean this as soon as possible. The notification went out last month to the property owner and the address, and also posted on the property and on the city hall. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kim. Before I open this to public hearing, any questions of Dr. Kim? Alderman Carter?
None.
Alderman Sistrunk? Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
Well, it's on our side, right?
Yes. Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
Amen, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, I will take this opportunity to open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak regarding this matter, now would be the opportunity. Now would be the time. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter? All right, seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing. And I have a motion for approval from Alderman Carter. Was that you? Thank you, sir.
Second.
All right, I have a second from Alderman Little. If you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carter.
Yes.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you so much. Under next item on the agenda is public hearing and consideration of UE 20-02, use exception to allow a car title loan payday advance on loan district 10 West, Highway 12 West, Suite H in a C zoning district. Ms. Camp.
This is a request by Keith Beck of Anytime Cash Solutions LLC on behalf of Tower Plaza LLC for use exception to allow for a car title loan payday advance for loan business located at 210 Highway 12 West in Suite H. The business will provide payday loans, installment loans, and check cashing. The use chart requires a use exception for car title loan, payday advance, or loan business in a C commercial zoning district. The request was noticed in accordance with section 3.5.3E of the Unified Development Code. 8 property owners of record within 160 feet of the subject property were notified directly by mail of the request. A legal ad was published in Starkville Daily News on August 18, 2020. A sign was posted on the property in a conspicuous location. As of this date, the planning office has received no response from the notification. Section 3.51 of the UDC lists 6 criteria for use exception approval. In the opinion of the planning department, proposed use associated with the use exception request could meet the criteria for use exception review and approval.
Okay, and this is just, it's the same use, it's just a different name, is that correct?
Correct.
Different company.
Right, and this is a difference with the old code versus the new code. In the old code, the use could renew continually. With the new code, every time it changes business, there's their names that have to go before the Board of Aldermen for approval.
Okay, all right.
For a special exception.
And is the applicant in the room?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Would you come up just long enough for us to ask you if there's anything, if you'd identify yourself, and I'll ask you if there's anything you wish to add to that, so.
Absolutely. My name is Keith Beck, Anytime Cash Solutions. She stated most of what I was doing. Basically, we're replacing the existing business at that location. I do know this business, Express Check, that is closed at that location, and there's another one that closed fairly recently also. So, I mean, there's definitely a couple less than what it was at one time, and we're hoping to replace one and graciously stay in front of you now, but hope we do that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Beck. I appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before I open this, Ms. Camp or Mr. Beck? Alderman Carver? Alderman Fisher?
My question may actually be for Attorney Latimer. Is there a strict definition of neighborhood when we look at immediate neighborhood impact, or in that section D with property values, the area that we should be looking at for the impact on property?
No, ma'am. That's within your discretion and your familiarity with the area.
Thank you.
Alderman Little?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Walker?
Yes, ma'am. I do just have a question. I want to make sure that I'm clear on the issue. So this is an existing payday lending business, and they're basically looking to be in the same location, just change the name?
We're a different company, but it's the exact same industry that's going to be in that location, so it shouldn't affect home values in that area. But we came in there, started this process in probably 90 days or less when the other one closed.
Did you hear that, Alderman Walker?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And I'll ask Ms. Camp if she can tell me, so is there a net reduction, or is it going to be a net zero sum in terms of the number of payday loan organizations inside the city limits if this were to be approved tonight?
I don't have a total offhand in terms of what the city limits, but the applicant indicated that 2 have left the city recently, and this is the only application we've received in the last 6 months.
Okay, so if the tenant that was previously in that place, it is our understanding as a city that they no longer operate a business inside the city limits?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Walker. Alderman Beatty?
No, Mayor.
All right. Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
No, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir. If you step back, I'll open it to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this item, now would be the opportunity, either yay or for or against. All right, seeing no one, I will close it as a public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
I have a motion for approval from Alderman Beatty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Vaughn. you would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name. I'm so,
Okay, comment.
Sister.
I would just like to say that, the reason I asked about the impact to the immediate neighborhood or the impact on property values is that I have a well-documented history of having an industry interest here, and the impact on communities of these types of businesses. And, generally, they do not have a positive impact on the community. And so, I wanted to make sure that, even though this is a replacement business, it is our opportunity to reduce the number of these types of businesses that we have in the community. And I do think, as I said, I do think that, as an industry, it takes away more than it brings to the community. And I know that there are arguments for who's served by this and all of that sort of thing, but I don't think research really bears out that it is necessarily helpful to a community.
Alderman Carver?
I was gonna say, I think this predates all the way back to our first term together, Alderman Sister. We had a lot of conversation on this. We even talked about the facade of the outside of the buildings. They can really catchy, flashy colors. Predatory loan shark lending rate of 18 to 27, 28%. Some of these things are industry standard. I probably would not vote for this if it were a new business in town, but being the fact that it's taking existing place and doesn't add to the market share, I'll support it tonight. But we I remember having several meetings and discussions about every facet of this market. But yes, that would be my intention to vote for it tonight.
And I understand that concept, that it is replacing one business with a like business, but the idea behind bringing this to the board with each change of ownership was to give the board an opportunity to find a way to reduce the number of these types of businesses in our community.
Thank you, Alderman Sister. Alderman Little, anything further from you?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Walker, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Beatty?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins?
No, ma'am, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Vaughn?
Man, how many of these types of businesses do we have in the city of Starkville now?
Well, now that you say that, Alderman Vaughn, I was going to ask Ms. Kemp to give us a count, because we don't know right now, but we'll have to go back and take a look. At one point in time, when this became an issue, we did have a count. So we'll ask Ms. Kemp to give us a count, and allow the board to know that at the next opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. Because one time we talked, so many we talked, putting in total one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was asking that question.
All right, well, we'll check and see what that number will be. So, okay, all right, we will get that information out to the board. So, all right, I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carter.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher.
Nay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Nay.
Alderman Beatty.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, 5-2, this motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda, we have one more public hearing to go. This is the first public hearing on an ordinance for the city of Starkville granting a non-exclusive franchise to Campus Communications Group, Inc. to lay, construct, maintain, replace, repair, and operate fiber optic cable and appurtenant communications facilities in, under, over, and across and along all streets, avenues, alleys, highways, roads, bridges, viaducts, and public places in the city of Starkville. And Mr. Latimer has worked on this particular item, and this agreement is in line with our other non-exclusive franchise agreements. Is that correct?
It is, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the board before I open it as a public hearing? Alderman Carver? Alderman Fisher?
One of my concerns about this is something that we've experienced with other groups that have franchise agreements here in the town, and that is that when they are slow to remove lines when they are no longer in use, or when we have changed poles for them to relocate their lines to the new poles, results in us having redundant poles throughout the city. Does this agreement, Mr. Latimer, give us all of the carrots and hammers that we need to make sure this, gets done in the future?
It does. Alderman. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. And while I have you, any questions? Are they all gonna go underground?
Yeah, it gives them the option
Well, no,
based
I know.
on the city's ordinance and based on the approval of the city engineer.
Okay,
So we get to weigh in on whether they go above ground or underground.
okay. I just remembered you were negotiating and I didn't know if you had heard one way or the other. Okay, thank you. Alderman Little, I'm sorry.
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Alderman Walker?
Ma'am, I'll be brief. I agree a lot of what Alderman Sistrunk shared. That was going to be my question is, I know even in my front yard and all over town, we have new utility poles, and then we have a pole cut in half that still has AT&T and other folks that have been there for a number of years. We've been had very little luck in getting them to take care of those situations, and I would hope and moving forward that we would have a little more leverage. I know it's hard to leverage against AT&T, but we need to have some leverage in order to make sure that those things are done in a timely fashion. I don't think a week is timely enough, but I do think 18 months or 2 years ought to be plenty of time to have that addressed. And I'm hopeful that this group will take that seriously, and that the city will take that seriously. And along those same lines, if we're going to have some discussion, looking at where this line is going to go, I think everything possible to make sure that it can be underground is the way to go. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thanks, Alderman Walker. And Mr. Latimer wanted to speak to that.
Alderman Walker, to address your question, right now the franchise agreement, if it appears in your packet, says that if the franchise is discontinued, they have 6 months to take it down. And in doing so, they must restore the public right-of-way to as good of a condition as it was before the franchise. And if they don't take it down within 6 months, the city can take it down and charge costs to them.
And that's only if they discontinue service, though, right?
The city makes a determination to no longer grant the franchise.
Yeah, so it is, okay. Yeah.
At the board's discretion.
Yes, okay, thank you. Alderman Beatty,
Where is this service supposed to be?
Loxley Way to Spring Street.
AT&T, today is reneging on, installing fiber optic. In other words, if we got somebody coming in want to do this and spending the money, capital expense and stuff to provide fiber optic lines in our city, I won't say it's bucking the trend, but some of the big carriers in the United States have started to kind of back off of that because of the cost. And I don't know if it's not profitable to them or something, but there's a big thing in New York Times today about AT&T, and then look at the fact that they're reneging on some things, even some things they got some tax breaks and things on that they haven't, that they're not going to fulfill or not follow through on. So this could be a good thing for us.
Matt, is anyone online from Campus Communications?
Michael Lentz, I'm the president of Campus Communications Online.
All right, Mr. Lentz, if you just hang on for a minute, I'm going to finish with the Board of Aldermen, then I'll open it up. Then I'll offer you an opportunity to speak to it, and I'll open it up as a public hearing. So, Vice Mayor Perkins.
Mayor, I just want to briefly say that I fully concur with the remarks and comments of Alderman Sistrunk and Alderman Walker. I yield.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Alderman Vaughn.
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Wentz, was that your name?
Lynn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the board?
To answer some of the questions, we are in the county right now, and during the Blackjack road improvement that is going on, we actually went down and moved our fiber 30 feet back so they could actually do the road improvement. So I think we did that in a pretty timely manner, and we do prefer to go underground as much as possible.
All right, that's excellent news. Anyone on the board have a question? Anyone?
Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, in regard to what Alderman Walker said, the gentleman who just spoke, he opened the door. He gave himself some ambiguity there. He said they like to go underground as much as possible. Alderman Walker was specifically asking about underground, and I agree with his comments. We need to get some very certainty from these providers that come in and do this work. They need to either go be underground or just let us know. And he said as much as possible. We need some certainty in the contract when this comes before us. So we'll make sure if it's going to be underground, the language needs to be very clear and precise to address the concern of the board in the city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And the contract now offers them other opportunities, but I'm going to put the gentleman on the spot. Sir, are you going to be able to go underground for the small section of the city that you're going to be transiting?
Yes, ma'am. And the only reason, we've only been in one area that we've actually went above ground, and that's because the city had requested us to go above ground.
Okay, all right. Well, we will take a look at that contract and perhaps just put that in the contract that way. So thank you very much. I lost my place. Alderman Vaughn, did you have anything else that you want? All right, thank you. Anyone, before I open it as a public hearing? All right, I'll open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this particular item, now would be the opportunity. Anyone wishing to speak? All right, seeing no one, I will close it as a public hearing. If there is any further discussion, anyone? Seeing none, if you would, please, I need a motion.
No, it's the first public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is just a public hearing. My apologies. We'll be taking it up next time. So, and we'll put that in the contract so that it is underground, and make that amendment. So, all right, thank you so much. Next item up is under board business. It's consideration of an 8th resolution. And Alderman Carver, I will pitch this to you since this was on the agenda at your request.
Yes, from the very beginning, I guess back in March, you heard me speak specifically to mirroring and shadowing the governor of the state of Mississippi and whatever he recommended due to the fact that he's got multiple state briefings of top public officials in the state. So what I do is open up to some comments, and then I guess like everybody actually speak, I may have an additional comment, and I will also, like the gentleman said tonight, that was most of my closing remarks were in reference, or will be in reference to who on the board is referring to what medical professionals by name, what timelines will be established, and which thresholds will have to be met before the masks come out in compliance with statewide mask mandate. So, in spring of 2020, Americans red and blue came together to flatten the curve. We did this to ensure that our hospitals and healthcare professionals were not overrun by COVID-19. Generally speaking, we triumphantly achieved that goal throughout the U.S. But since then, the goalposts have continued to be moved. Now it seems that many of our leaders are all about preventing anyone and everyone from getting the virus. Will we be told to social distance and wear a mask forever? When will it end? When cases go to zero? When there's a vaccine? It is illogical to believe that we have the ability to really stop a ubiquitous microscopic virus. What if we try to eliminate all car wrecks by setting a universal speed limit of 5 miles an hour? Governor Reeves recently allowed our state's mandatory masking policy to expire. In the weeks leading up to the decision, he also made an executive decision about the state fair, which will be held later this month. He is quoted as saying, "If you are concerned or if you are scared, you get to make a personal choice to not attend. It is clear that many of our decisions being made about COVID are illogical, if not hypocritical and viewed from a public health perspective. For instance, you must wear a mask while standing and walking in a restaurant, but not while sitting, eating, and talking. Until recently, you could have 50% occupancy in indoor club level seats at MSU football games, yet only 25% could sit in the regular seats. I'm not naive to see that society is making decisions to improve our economy while accepting a manageable level of risk for most. I would argue that removing the mandatory mask requirement in Starkville would improve the economy as well. To borrow from Governor Reeves, let those who are concerned continue to wear masks and let those of us who aren't have options to choose." So I yield at this time.
Okay, well, Alderman Carver, you don't want to make a motion?
I will. I got more comments. If anybody's got something to say before the motion?
No.
Okay. Since March, I've been advising this mayor and board to follow the governor's lead on response to COVID-19. He is briefed daily by the top health officials in the state and has the most current data and trends of COVID. If anyone on this board has any medical certification that I'm unaware of, please raise your hand or you may roll call. Does anybody have? I don't. I'm just asking if anybody has any medical certification on this board.
Not hearing anyone say anything.
Thank you. As I stated from the start, it should all be about personal choice and personal responsibility. I'm actually in favor of requiring 10 feet of social distance and a mask choice. I might wear a mask if you gave me that choice. Just as the governor's office suggested last week, now is the time to start requiring mask usage as stringently as proposed by the Board of Aldermen's 7th resolution. I'm giving the board the opportunity tonight to do the right thing and allow each individual person the opportunity to wear or not wear a mask, because only each individual knows their medical history. The heavy hand of government should not be allowed to encroach on citizens' personal rights. However, if you want to wear a mask every day for the rest of your life, wear a mask while walking alone outside, or even wear a mask while driving alone in your car, you have every right to do so, and I encourage you to do so. I think, personally, there will always be a very small percentage of people who wear masks in this town or in the United States. And that is their right to do in a free country. Should this mayor and board consider to apply the governor's recommendations in Executive Order 1525, I believe that it will only cause chaos and divisiveness in our community, and it further drives sales tax dollars in other communities. We desperately need local leadership to understand that Starkville is but a pin drop on the statewide mask, and if you honestly think that sporadic mask usage is going to stop COVID, then you are naive. Just this weekend, I attended social functions, went to the Cotton District, went all over town, and I dare to say I saw very, very, very few masks. There's so much divisiveness being caused by this unnecessary mask mandate. Part of that is not staying in compliance with the government, as I said from the start. It can simply be avoided. Just give the people the option of whether or not to wear a mask. That is what over 96% of the cities in our state are doing. Quit driving our sales tax dollars away and do the right thing, not to mention the additional strain on the police force. They could be better utilizing their time and manpower. As it pertains to community policing, everything that Chief Frank Nichols has built up is slowly being taken away. The idea of sending police officers into businesses, tailgates, and giving tickets to business owners and summons for them to appear in court is detrimental to the fabric of our community. Businesses are struggling enough right now. I think we all see that through the emails we received over the last couple of weeks. So I ask personally, give me the liberty, give me the freedom, and give me the option to choose what's best for my health, welfare, and safety. Thank you.
Are you going to make a motion on the call?
Yes, ma'am. I will move approval of the 8th resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Starkville, declaring additional measures for control of contagious and infectious disease and for protection of the public health and welfare and for related purposes.
Okay, and that was in our packet, so. All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Do I have a second? All right, hearing no second, the motion fails for lack of a second.
And so what I can do in conclusion, like I said earlier, one of the reasons that we're seeing a general shift of the citizens' response here in Starkville is due to statistics and data. When this started, I think everybody had a fear. I personally see close to probably 100 people a day, and in the general, there was a general fear. After 2 or 3 months, I started seeing an ease. That's just due to statistics and data. And you saw in the graph that Mr. O'Quiston provided tonight, just a sharp decline, which should be expected. So my question for the board, as a citizen and an alderman, what are the medical thresholds, since this wasn't considered tonight, what are the medical thresholds for when y'all expect masks to come off in the city of Starkville, or an infection rate or a survivability rate which is already like 99.997% nationwide? First question, what is the medical threshold for when masks will come off? What are y'all thinking? Somebody obviously had some discussion on that. Who on the board is meeting with the COVID experts to determine the appropriate timeline? I tried to do that first by having a letter of 19 local COVID doctors, pulmonologists, and general practitioners, which is disregarded. And 3, should I bring this to every meeting, or will I be provided with an expected timeline for compliance with the statewide mask mandate? I yield.
All right, thank you, Alderman Carter. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, it's going to be the finance.
There's no response to that at all.
Well, you didn't get a second, so there's nothing for us to take up.
Would you answer that? I mean, I would like to know particularly what y'all planning.
If you want to discuss it, we can discuss it at the next work session.
You do it now?
Well, I've got an agenda, and my agenda doesn't necessarily include that. If there's someone on the board who wants to discuss that, they're certainly welcome to do so.
That's fine if y'all haven't. Just say we haven't had any kind of threshold that I don't know if y'all had any kind of discussion on this.
I've not had a discussion on threshold.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the claims docket. We have, under finance administration, do I have a motion? I have a motion for approval from Alderman Sistrunk. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Beatty. Any further discussion? If not, I would please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Nay.
Alderman Dodd.
All right, my vote of 5-2, motion carries. And that takes us to the last item on the agenda, for us to consider in open session, which is the authorization to advertise for a maintenance.
Approval.
I have a motion for approval from Alderman Miller, do I have a second? Second from Alderman Sistrunk. Any discussion? No discussion? All right, seeing none, if you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Yes.
Yay.
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 Nay.
All right, the vote is 6-1, motion carries.
Mayor, move to go into closed session.
I have a motion to go into closed session from Alderman Little, do I have a second? Second from Alderman Bone. No discussion, all those in favor, answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls the name.
Alderman Carter. Alderman Fisher. Yay.
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 Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, it's unanimous. We'll be going into closed session to determine the need for executive session. If you would, please clear the room. Thank you, everyone. in executive session, and Mr. Latimer is going to read the motions. Potential motions.
Potential motions, three potential motions based on board packet materials in executive session. Motion number one would be move approval of the disciplinary recommendation of Chief Yarborough suspending firefighter Sam Wilkes for 24 hours without pay for a full shift effective immediately.
Do I have a motion?
So move, Mayor.
All right, I've got three of those. One is going to turn into a second, so I'm going to accept Alderman Little and Alderman or Vice Mayor Perkins. Vice Mayor Perkins for the second. If you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Nay.
Yay. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
All right, by a vote of 6-1, motion carries. And the second item?
Proposed motion number two would be move approval of the disciplinary recommendation by Chief Ballard suspending Tanya Mullen for 5 days without pay, along with placing her on 6 months probation effective immediately.
Approve.
I have a motion for approval from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Sistro. Further discussion, if you would, please answer yea or nay as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Yay. Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, that is unanimous. Third.
Move approval to authorize the city attorney to proceed with eminent domain if needed to acquire any remaining property rights necessary to facilitate the old West Point Bridge replacement project.
Move approve.
I have a motion for approval from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Beatty. Further discussion, none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Oh, man, roll call.
I'm sorry. As the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Fisher. Yay. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
All right, it is unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you all so much. I'm going to do quick language for the work session, and then we will look for a recess. In accordance with the notice required under Mississippi Code Annotated 254113, Board will be having a work session on the 16th of October 2020 at 10 a.m. Meeting will be held in City Hall, a second floor conference room located at 110 West Main Street. Public and media are invited to attend. Notice should be provided of the work session within 1 hour of this meeting by posting such notice at City Hall. It should be made part of the minutes of the board meeting. The work session will be open public meeting. The city of Starkville and public and press are invited to attend. Do I have a motion to recess?
Approve.
I have a motion to recess from Alderman Vaughn. A second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Little. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye when the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Nay.
Alderman Fisher.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Davis.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
All right, thank you all. It's unanimous. We are in recess. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you all, everybody. Y'all have a good rest of your week.
All right.
See you soon.